Hello, everyone. We're going to talk today. I'm Stephen Hall, and I'll be talking today about customized uh, job development. Certainly want to thank the folks at Virginia Commonwealth University for having me here today, and we're going to talk about the customized job development Fidelity scale. So, a couple things about the scale. It is you may have seen or you should know about, and please if you have the opportunity, look at the Discovery Fidelity Scale. Discovery's Fidelity Scale precedes the Discovery, as some of you may know, in customized employment precedes customized job development. So Discovery Fidelity Scale, please take a look at that on the VCU site, and also now the customized job development Fidelity scale. Okay, so let's just start. So why? Why are we doing a customized job Fidelity scale? Well, here's what we found out: is that job developers were, after receiving a discovery document, were pretty well going on automatic. That is, they were making the decision to well, thank you very much. We really appreciate this. This was really great, and we'd like to thank you for giving it to us. And then it simply was not being used, and it's not being used because of all the capacity and all the work that a job developer does, that they probably felt, likely what the research is showing, they probably didn't, they did not feel they would have the time to do all the things that may be necessary. So what was happening is people were not doing customized job development, they were doing traditional job development. A couple other things I want to be sure for this isn't about COVID-19. Please go to the Griffin-Hammes website to see great videos, articles, information on how to implement customized employment during these tough times of the pandemic, and so that'll cover this. Then everything I'm going to say today. Then there's adaptations and ways to do customized job development during these tough times when direct interactions, direct in-person interactions are not possible, but still customized employment is, and customized job development certainly is. On customized job development, you can get your own copy of this by going to the GHA website. You can get your own copy of the customized job development Fidelity scale off the Griffin-Hammes Associates website. Now, when you get the copy, know that you're not authorized to use it. To be authorized to use it, there's a one-day training, and then it's followed by question and answer. Then it's followed question and answer day, and then it's followed by ongoing technical assistance for several months thereafter. And here's why. Customized development is a Fidelity scale is in a research protocol. And so what we're making sure is this, that the things we're saying here as the key tenets to be able to implement customized job development to Fidelity, we want to be sure that they're both reliable and they're valid, so that we can stand on this, and you can stand on this, say, why are you doing things this way? And it's not because somebody told me to do it this way. I saw a video this way. I had training and teaching from Steve Hall. No, that's not the reason. The reason is because it is we have evidence that it's a reliable and valid. That the tenets must be included, those best practices for customized job development to be done in a reliable and valid way. This is not, the customized job development Fidelity scale is not training on how to do customized job development. It's a Fidelity scale that or you're able to tell whatever you did for customized job development, what was that done to Fidelity to best practices. And so we'll talk a bit more about the details of that. So understand, this is about doing things right, which raises the probability of an exceptional outcome on behalf of citizens with significant challenges to community integrated employment. What it is not, from reading the scale, that doesn't mean that you will know how to do customized job development. There's one thing on the scale that you will learn, because one of the scale tenets is a -1, is it certainly will show you what not to do. It'll show you Fidelity, 3 phases of Fidelity, what to do, but it doesn't get into anywhere close to the detail and the number of tools that you need to do effective customized employment. Okay. So here's what we found, that job developers were, what we found through focus groups, interviews. They were still relying on assessments and work trials, even though they paid for the vocational rehabilitation or the state disability agency or whatever funding source that may be paid for discovery. They're going back and still relying on assessments and other work trials, trying to see if somebody could to do the job. In other words, they were just doubling up on what needed to happen. Remember that discovery is a alternative to assessments and work trials and that sort of thing. They were not following the employment plan that came out of discovery. They were not following the list of employers to be contacted, because you see that what discovery does is it hands to the customized job developer, here are the actual employers that match the vocational themes of the employment seeker. And here is who to contact, and here's their names, and here's their addresses, and here's their phone numbers, and here's their contact information. So it really says to job developers, no, please don't go on automatic and try to get somebody in a job openings out there somewhere. We know we can get somebody a job. What we're about in customized employment is getting the person a job, is the ideal conditions of employment. And of course, you know what that means. That means a job that lasts. So what job developers wanted to know is what this was incorrect, but what they still want to know is just tell me what he or she can do. Because it goes, tell me what he or she can do, and then we'll just go find a job. Well, what we have known in the past, what people can do with no training, of course, without any consultative coworker support, where the coworker is actually doing the training, in lieu of job coaching, down the road in a customized approach. Well, what we know then is that if you're gonna give people just what skills they have, think about yourself. I mean, how many folks you have a job where you already knew how to do the whole job before the day you got it? There's no chance of that, of a good job happening that way. Nobody, myself absolutely included, throughout my entire life and every job I had, knew how to do that job the day I was hired. But of course, you learn that on the job from mentors, from other people, from information, and some of it the hard way, but a lot of it the much easier way is by having that coworker support. So if you place people in jobs that they already know how to do, then what you're probably going to place people in jobs doing is something that looks a lot like chores, except taken to a larger scale. In other words, it's going to be janitorial stuff. It's going to be doing stuff, mopping, sweeping, sorting, packing, picking, doing jobs that a lot of folks don't want to do. And then job developers were finding job openings and just finding out where a job is. One job is as good as another. And then the data, most disturbingly, is this. When you ask a vocational rehabilitation counselor, how long does it take to do customized employment, support employment also. How long does it take you to do that, to happen? They'll say about 6 weeks. So when you ask the job developers, how long does it take to do job development? They'll say about 6 weeks. Seems like everybody's in agreement. But if you ask one more question, how many days do you actually spend in that 6 weeks on job development for that person? And the answer to that question is 3 days. In other words, what looks like it's taking 6 weeks is actually taking about 3 days, because they're simply finding a job and placing the person in that. So again, I mentioned before, we want that reliability and validity research. That's what we're doing with this. And certainly if you decide to be a part of learning how to implement the customized job development Fidelity scale, then you would be a part of that. Who needs to be an authorized administrator of the job development Fidelity scale? Absolutely. Certainly vocational rehabilitation counselors that may be purchasing it, other disability officials that may be in control of funding and authorizations, anybody that's in a management role and a supervisory role in community integrated employment services, obviously particularly customized employment. Those folks for sure need to be a part of that, depending about what the job developer's role is. But who is giving the information on how they did job development is the job developer. So usually job developers aren't a part of implementation of the scale. Some exceptions to that when they're also in an administrative role. So anyway, people that are supervisors and control of financing. So what we found was going on is that job development methodology was driven by caseload size. That if that job developer had 20 people to get jobs over a given year, 30 people, 40 people, that determined what job development looked like. In other words, that was a greater factor on. If you've got 30 people, you've got to get jobs in a year, then you're not going to be able to do the intense work that is necessary to do effective customized job development to ensure that person gets a job that lasts. Placed in jobs 16 or less hours per week, between 9 and 16 hours is how many hours folks are getting. And usually they're back in the day center or in some type of services with other people with disabilities the other parts of the time. So that's what folks are getting placed. When you ask them if it, so tell me, do you think that 16 hours, I'm so surprised 16 hours, and when you ask the question, why just 16 hours? Why aren't people getting jobs 20 hours, 25 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours? Why aren't people disabilities getting jobs more? And the answer is usually something to do with not wanting to interfere with Social Security, whatever may be some disability payments they may be getting. And then the other is, well, we thought we'd just try them out there. And then when you ask job developers, okay, do you think that the hours increase or decrease afterwards? Universally, they say, we believe that 16 is just a beginning and that their hours increase over time. Do you know that? I said, well, I believe it. Do you know it? No, and we find that the data is showing that there is no data there. In other words, they do not know it. It is an assumption. So when we look at that data, what's really going on is that the number of hours that citizens are working in community integrated employment is is overwhelmingly less than whatever that starting point is over time. So you end up with that employment failure in that VR, what they call revolving door of somebody coming back for additional services. Okay, so customized employment Fidelity none of these things are wrong. It just is not necessary to do, and it's not a part of customized job development. So no volunteering, no job tryouts, no internships. So can we do this? Well, sure. Excuse me. You can absolutely do those things if I guess if you would like to, but what the promise of customized employment is a job, and so we find some of these things, or maybe all of these things, as a delay in getting the person. If somebody wants to do them, fine, but not needed to have paid or unpaid work experiences or pre-placement. Remember this, there is a big difference between a work experience and work experience. Work experience is very valuable. Work experience is. A work experience is something very different than actual being employed and working. Again, no pre-placement delays. Customized job development is and is not. It's different. It's different from finding jobs. It's not filling employer vacancies. You see this yourself. Not finding employer to hire somebody. It's none of these things. Yeah, you're going to look at current skills, but you're going to the key pieces in discover in discovery that are going to be used during customized job development is how he or she learns and how he or she is best supported. Information learned in discovery is infused and used throughout and guides customized job development. So customized job development, you already know, can increase business customers. You likely know new products and services, workflow efficiencies. It's not something neutral. It improves a business. This is not a market based approach, but a economic development approach to employment of citizens with disabilities in real jobs in their community. Customized job development offers tangible assets, as I just said, an economic development strategy, and not job market. Okay, it creates and negotiates good job, considers wage employment. That's what we all typically know as employment, but it also includes micro enterprise employment, as development of new products, self-employment, with the person obviously is their business, and then a business within a business. So you can have with customized employment, you can create a business within someone else's business. Again, I could give you a myriad of examples of that. Not time for that today. We're just talking about the job development Fidelity scale. But when you know a lot more about customized job development, you'll learn what are the details of each one of these. What is a micro enterprise development? How does that happen? Self-employment, how do you do that? Business within a business, again, more details involving training and teaching of customized employment. It's an informational interviewing approach. You're finding out more about the business and about other people who do similar work. It's about interest-based negotiation. It's about value-added assets. We all have value. That's why we're hired to do something. Some of us bring extraordinary education. Some of us bring extraordinary experience. Some of us bring extraordinary whatever may be thought of. We bring assets there, and this with customized employment, and certainly in customized job development, what it highlights is those value-added assets that the person with a significant disability or challenge to working, what their value-added assets, what they're bringing to that. And it makes sure that there are many assets that are brought. Okay, just go through the differences between traditional job development and customized job development. Traditional. Okay, familiar? Trying to find out what skills do they have. What can they do? We're going to assess. We're going to volunteer. We're going to do tryouts. We're going to find out. We want to know what the person does. Customize. Task-based activities, we're trying to learn how the person applies skills, how the person learns, how the person is best supported. I mean, this is absolutely, ends up being absolute gold. So note in customized job development is that it is based from, again, the task-based activities. It's using, understand this clearly, you're not doing these task-based activities in customized job development. It's using the task-based activities that were done during discovery. It's saying, what do we learn from those task-based activities? What do we learn about how the person learns and how she is best supported? That's how you're able to, that's one of the things you're able to ensure that you have knowledge of, to ensure the person's placed in that ideal condition of employment. In traditional, the job developer already has relationships with employers that will hire people with disabilities and tries to fill those vacancies. In other words, traditional job development happens before they even have ever met the person with a disability, before they even know who they are or what they are about. In other words, they're out there already looking for jobs and seeing where openings may be like that, in case somebody, which they do, that's their job, somebody with a disability comes along and said, oh, okay, great, I got a job for you. And that's traditional. Customized job development develops a job with an employer, usually when there's no openings. In other words, people are always hiring. People are always hiring, but it's about are people, is that person always hiring, if that's the right person that can bring something to that employer that they can immediately see is going to be of a benefit to them. So they're hiring, again, people in ideal conditions of employment, and so you're not finding a job based only on employer's skills, not just based on their skills, but other assets they may bring, and of course, they'll learn about how to do the work, as we all did, as I said before, on the job. Okay, so the approach, traditional, right? Willingness to hire. And if you're okay, it's a go. If you're ready to hire somebody with a disability, okay. Customized, very different. Use the informational interview approach to learn about possibilities about the job. You don't know all that type of work, whatever that is, and that business and other businesses that are similar, what all that work is. That's what an informational interview approach to employers is about, is expanding your knowledge as a customized job developer to learn all there is to know about that business, that industry, and including potentially other employers that do similar work. Traditional job, they're likely to successfully complete job tasks and duties based on his or her current skills. Well, what could be wrong with that? We're going to place people in jobs where we think they're likely to succeed. Customized job development negotiates a job based on a proposal that accounts for the skills, interests, so what supports are available, and the coworker and cultural fit to ensure success. Much, much more to it than just saying, you got skills, we need those skills, you're hired. This is about those person's skills, certainly, but then also what they're most interested in, what supports are available, how's that coworker and how's that cultural fit, and is this going to be a job that where that person is going to grow and learn new things, like we all do in good jobs, and then and be able to adapt to whatever the inevitable changes that may because of that coworker and cultural fit. Traditional job analysis, traditional job development says, well, that job analysis for that job site training plan, that's an employment specialist job, not me, not mine. They do that. But with customized, The job developer creates a job analysis and job site and job analysis and that whole job site training, the employment training plan there, with agreement from talking with the coworkers who will have the primary responsibility for training. You should have been there with me at a focus group when you have customized job developer and traditional job developers at the same table talking about this. And when the traditional job developer, when this is brought up, they say, "What are you talking about? I don't do the job site analysis. That's the job coach's job. I don't do anything that has to do with the teaching and training or that. I wouldn't know how to write a plan. I wouldn't do that." And to hear the response of the customized job developer, "What? You mean you're placing people in jobs and you don't really know the job? You've not done a job site analysis to understand the details of that job and what are actually going to be the task and what they're going to do? And you've not worked with the coworkers to ensure that long after you're gone, there's going to be a great employment training plan that's going to be followed by either you yourself, if you also assume a role, which we certainly recommend, of being there for job training as needed, and then for anyway. So that's the point. The point is that the customized job developer absolutely, just like in Discovery, how it tells the job developer, "Hey, go to these places because these are places meet that person's vocational themes and are more likely to have the type of employment that is going to lead to long-term success." Just like that is found out from Discovery telling customized job development what they should do, that this is that counterpart in customized job development, where it's saying, by the way, after that person is hired, here is how that employment training plan will work and how you'll work with the coworkers. A traditional uses that I mentioned before, that labor market approach, finding openings, matching employers to that. Customized job development uses a economic development approach, negotiation, being sure that ideal conditions of employment are met. Job analysis training plan, I just covered that. Co-workers who have the primary responsibility of teaching and training and consulting. Why in the world would you have an employment specialist or a job coach that has never done the work before be doing work or trying to teach somebody to do a job when you have a coworker right there that knows that job? Just another so interesting. Bosses oftentimes believe they know how the work should be done because obviously sometimes they even created companies and believe it's how it happens. More often than not, the boss will come and explain to the employment seeker, or the person now that they've hired, what's to happen with that job and how it works. And after the boss leaves, the coworker who really knows the job says this: "Now, please don't pay any attention to anything he just said or she just said, because I've been doing this work for whatever, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I've been doing this work. I will show you and teach you how to do this work, and it'll be effective and you'll be successful. You'll need to listen to what I'm saying about how this happens, and you'll meet whatever productivity should be." Powerful, powerful piece that has historically been left out of employment for citizens with disability is that coworker training. Traditional assessments, I've mentioned those. Trying to find, be comfortable, be certain with the job. We want to be making sure that this person can do the job. Don't want to disappoint anybody. Customized. We're looking at tangible assets. We're working what the person brings. It's a drive towards uncertainty. It is completely the opposite of what it is. In other words, it's really tough for us to really grasp this. It's like, what? We love certainty. We want to know how things are. Then you're going to be in a job. That anybody can do, and it's not going to be a job that most people want to do. If you're in a job that has uncertainty, where you're learning and you're working and learning that job, again, with a coworker or coworkers helping you learn that job, that's what makes that world of difference in customized employment. Okay, let's go through the tenets of customized job development. And these are the Fidelity tenets. These are things that that we believe from focus groups, from interviews, from every word that's ever been, that we could ever find written on job development, on everything on customized development, by talking to the best and the brightest. And we'll be doing other things with other experts in helping to refine and improve this scale, including with everyone, the practitioners in all the states that will be implementing customized job development. Again, already we have states that already are implementing, of course, discovery, which you may know, but we're now moving to that next phase where they're now implementing customized job development Fidelity based on this scale. 1.1, first tenet is, remember, what I'm showing you today is not the scale. This is not the customized job development Fidelity scale. What this is an introduction to that scale. If you would like your own copy of the customized job development Fidelity scale, then please go to that to the Griffin-Hammes website, and you're very welcome to get your own copy of that. If you want to know how to use it and you want to implement it with reliability and fidelity to best practices, and make certain that the outcomes you'll get are what's promised, people employed in the ideal conditions, then we'll need to have another conversation, certainly with Beth Keaton, the executive director of Griffin-Hammes, and the beginning conversation could be with me also. Number one, it's got to be based on a discovery employment plan. Customized job development is based on a discovery employment plan. So that's where the marching orders come from. This discovery employment plan lays out clearly, here is information about how this person learns, how they're best supported. Here are dozens and dozens of employers that do this sort of work. Here is your list of jobs, places to go to begin contacting, using an informational interview approach to begin contacting employers. First, I want to say that these first, I think maybe 5 tenets, maybe 6, but anyway, 5 or 6 tenets are on systems. The tenets that follow that are on services. So what we know is that when you learn how to do something really well, but you are not supported by the system and the financing and the other quality factors that's out of your control, then even people who are trained to do the very best work still fail, because in the milieu, in the system, and who's supposed to, how things are supposed to work to help make that successful, you aren't there. So both in the discovery fidelity scale and in the customized job development fidelity scale, what we're talking about today, then it begins with the systems components. These things are fidelity tenets that must be in place. And one of them is dedicated CE financing. So it means that the money that is paid for customized employment, again, which includes obviously discovery and customized job development, that is customized employment financing. It's not using some other financing that was meant to do traditional job development or traditional assessments or traditional whatever it may be. In other words, I understand when sometimes something is called something at the state. I obviously had worked for state government for most of my life, so I understand how things got to be how it is until we can make the changes. I understand that, but those changes can now be made easily because both customized employment is both recognized by Rehab Services Administration and the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services as best practices of psychosocial rehabilitation methodologies. Customized employment is recognized as one of the very best practices for delivering greatly improved outcomes for citizens. So one of them is dedicated CE financing. It says this is for these dollars are for customized job development. 1.3, when you find out why don't more time spent? Why 3 days out of 6 weeks on average? Why so little time? Well, because I got other things to do. I have other jobs to do. I'm pulled in different directions. So 1.3 is about dedication. Is about having a dedicated, not dedication where everyone's dedicated, but having people that are dedicated to integrated employment only. In other words, what that person does as a job developer is only integrated community employment only. 1.4, new connections in the community. For job development to be most successful, we now know that it's about social capital, about a person developing friendships, relationships, contacts, and connections. For a better part of a couple decades, I was a CEO of both a large and a small, and then one of the largest organizations in the United States providing integrated community employment for citizens with disabilities and other services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And what I had was tremendous social capital. In other words, there's where to go, and there's who's running that ship that knows how to help citizens with disabilities. So certainly I was getting plenty of social capital, and so were the people that worked on folks' behalf. But who was not getting social capital? And what this is talking about is in an essential tenet of customized employment is to build social capital for the employment seeker. And it's a part of what happens, where you develop relationships, friendships, contacts, and connections, a web of people who will help, where it isn't just you as the lone ranger type of job developer going out there to tackle the terrain out there to find somebody jobs. What this is about is you knowing that to get the ideal conditions of employment, you're going to need help. You're going to need people who are invested and vested in the lives of citizens with disabilities. It's about building their social capital, which is a big change, not building just a disability services organization's social capital. So that's the switch, is that the relationships, friendships, and contact connections are not about people like me as CEOs or state administrators or those types of folks getting all that social capital and those relationships and friendships that matter. It's about citizens with disabilities as a part of what we do in the methodology of customized employment, getting those relationships. We've known forever that one of the very, very greatest barriers to employment is the people in the community is transportation. Isn't it ironic that transportation is available for people to travel to and from group homes to day centers, from day centers back to the group home, to shelter workshops and back to the group home or back to home, to work enclaves or to mobile crews, any type of we're grouping of people together with disabilities. Yeah, we got transportation there, no cost at all to you, the person. But now we're wanting to get people real jobs in the community that make a difference, still using the same psychosocial rehabilitation financing that are used to do the opposite of what customized employment's about, the real inclusion of citizens alongside other citizens in the community. And yet suddenly the transportation financing goes away. And then we say, well, here, how we do this is that we make sure that, we get mom and dad. So suddenly now mom and dad or someone else is now responsible for, even the person with the employment seeker themselves are suddenly responsible for paying for transportation. But if they choose a facility, traveling to a facility, then of course transportation is provided. So what this transportation financing means is this: it's personal control over the financing that would have been similar to what would have been provided to go to facility-based services. Transportation now financing should be available for that person to go to their place where they're getting the employment, again known as psychosocial rehabilitation and habilitation, via real employment in the alongside others in public. It's sometimes not really clearly understood that people are not going out of a habilitation and rehabilitation service or program when they're in customized employment. In fact, what they're going into is a habilitation, a psychosocial habilitation and rehabilitation methodology that really works, that makes a difference, that makes a change in the person's life, where oftentimes where they live, where they work, who their friendships and relationships are with, about their life, and many other things. Okay, 2.1. So you don't go on automatic and go out there and say, okay, start looking for a job. What you do is you start talking about, okay, what's the game plan? So the customized job developer and the person and the citizen that is the employment seeker are working together and say, okay, what assets we got, what skills we have, how would we learn, how we are best supported, what sort of other things might we bring to the work site that may be beneficial for both you and the employer. What are the assets that we have? What do we want to show them? What do we want to show them? What do we want to share with these employers during informational interviews? What's the financial goals? Sometimes it seems like we place people in jobs, and the goal is to say that we got folks working. It's like, whoa, hold up. It's about money. It's like, again, one of the best bosses I ever said, you probably heard me say this before, if you ever heard me before, is she said, remember, Commissioner, is 4 days in my new job, she says, remember, it's not about the money unless it's about the money, and it's always about the money. It's about what is that person's financial goals? What do they want to achieve? How many hours do they want to work? How many hours, what are the wages they expect to make? What type of work? Financial goals. Hours and wages are just said. In other words, look at what's going on. Here are tenants. Here's now what you've seen is here's tenants before we've ever approached an employer. This is job development. This is not pre-job development. This is job development. Is we're making sure that we have a mutual game plan with the person, that the employment seeker and the job developer are engaged in this together. Then we're contacting businesses, learning about their culture, learning about the ideal conditions of employment. As you might guess, we're talking about what these few words that are on this slide. When you learn how to do customized job development with Fidelity to best practices, then obviously you're taking many days of training, and then also practical application and mentoring to be able to do some of these things in the very, very best way. Just a real quick point. When I was if you will, know-it-all CEO of a large organization, and Kerry Griffin came one time and said, "Hey, Steve, I'm here training and teaching, folks. Yeah, no, great, Kerry, great to see you. It's great, glad you're here and everything. Okay, well, let's go." So, well, no, I'm the CEO. No, I'm the boss. And so no, they said, no, that don't work this way. No, that's not how that my company, Griffin Hammonds Associates, operates. Instead, what we do is we make sure that the people who are making the decisions to participate in this too. So grab your coat, you're going with us. That's how you learn how about what contacting businesses, what the culture is, what the ideal conditions of employment is. You don't learn it on one slide that I'm giving you today about a tenet in Fidelity to best practices. Informational interview approach then is a tenet. How that should best work. Let me just see let me just catch up with my see if I've left out any information. Probably left out lots of information, but this isn't about everything that isn't about every detail about this. Let me just get to a few places. Okay. I think here we are. Okay, thank you for indulging me just for a moment. Okay, so on informational interviews, then, and it's certainly not a bait and switch. The informational interview is not about saying, well, let's talk about something else, and I'm just here to find out information. And then, like a little bit halfway through it, you're like, aha, this is really about helping somebody with disabilities get a job. That is not how to do an informational interview approach. And I don't, that's not what an informational interview approach is about. And certainly today won't have, the opportunity to talk about it in any great length. Analysis of job tasks, I mentioned that before. Yeah, customized job development. You really know what job that you're developing for someone. About negotiation. It's about having a job proposal. It isn't about like, well, here's the job, you want it? It's about, no, let's talk about this job. Let's talk about where I believe that I, as a person, employment seeker, how I best can work with you, what I think will be an addition and helpful, for you to be successful and for me to be successful, working with you. And it's about that training plan. Is that no stone is, if you will, is left unturned. That training plan, and that training plan is verified by the coworker. It isn't a human service professional or a job developer going off on their own and thinking, okay, here's what the training plan is going to be. It's like, okay, does this make sense? And the parts that don't make sense will be taken out, and the parts that need to be in there will be put in that discussion and give and take with the coworker who is primarily going to be responsible for that person's training. That's part of customized job development. So the Fidelity scale is, when completed, is with reliability and validity. The promise is that we'll deliver employment practices that are superior and lasting employment outcomes. That what has been missing in maybe not just in employment, but in lots of services for citizens that have significant challenges to employment or inclusion in the life of our society has been methodologies that isn't just good ideas because somebody thinks they're good ideas, not good ideas because, well, this makes a whole lot more sense than what we were doing before, but are good ideas because they have some data, research, science behind them, some real information that says, you know, when we do things this way, and we do things this way, and these kind of three things in combination, you know, we really are getting superior outcomes, more wages, people with better jobs, lasting longer, getting jobs that other people may want to do through a customized employment approach to job development. As I mentioned before, all rights reserved by Griffin Hampton Associates on the job development fidelity scale. I want you, though, to please go and download that scale at the website. If you have not seen, this is your first shot at knowing about customized employment or job development, please go to hear about the Discovery Fidelity Scale, and look at any of the other a whole lot of information available through both the Virginia Commonwealth website of trainings and webinars like this, and certainly some through Griffin Hammes. If you have further questions about and want to be a JDFS administrator of this scale and want more information, please contact me. There's my email address at griffinhammes.com. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I hope this has been good information for you. It certainly has been my pleasure. Thanks a whole lot.